Playing car owner and crew chief here today, and here we see the smoke from Rick Mast, the blue car number 22, and as he comes around in the last lap. Let's go now to Jerry Punch for a comment on that.
I spoke to Rick Mast just moments ago, and they were concerned about it. They put a new intake on the car, but they think it still may be blowing some oil in through the intake, causing the smoking problem. If the smoke gets worse, NASCAR will black flag him early on and bring him in. He hopes it'll go away as they go to green here in just a few moments.
What a tremendous performance in the Daytona 500 by Rick Mast, now in Busch Grand National competition this afternoon in car number 22. There is the huge crowd that's on hand here. They're on their feet, they're cheering, and the green flag waves were underway in the Goodwrench 200 at Rockingham. Side-by-side competition through turns number 1 and 2 as Rob Moroso has jumped into the lead down the backstretch. Harry Gant has taken over second position as Dale Jarrett in car number 32 drops to third. Here comes the field off of corner number 4 to complete lap number 1. Moroso has the advantage.
The green flag was thrown and Rick Mast's car got up to speed, the smoke went away, so maybe he is going to be okay today. I certainly hope so.
Down the backstretch, there's car number 1, Mark Martin. He's driving a V6 Ford. That engine just developed and doing a fine job in that car. He is the defending champion of this race as the field comes by to complete lap number 2. It's 25, Rob Moroso showing the way. Number 7, Harry Gant is running in second position. The 32 of Dale Jarrett is third. And in fourth position is Brad Teague in the blue car number 75.
Well, let's make that Rick Wilson. Brad Teague has driven that car for many, many years, but Winston Cup driver Rick Wilson driving that car this year, the Food Country.
And it looks like Harry Gant now sneaking up on the rear bumper of Rob Moroso. Maybe will make a bid for the lead here soon. He's tucked in right on Rob Moroso's back bumper. They go into turn number 1, and Gant for the moment content to be there in second position. Off the second corner, they come in Moroso sideways.
Well, he did get loose, and Gant had to back off. That allowed Jarrett to move right up on their back bumper and make it a three-way battle.
I tell you what, probably what happened when Harry drove up right on the rear of Robbie Moroso's car, he took some of the air off that rear spoiler, and Robbie Moroso did get extremely loose coming off the second corner.
Well, despite the fact that they're not going at near the speed that they do at Daytona, and drafting isn't nearly as much of a factor, indeed there is a mix of the air at certain times.
Oh yes, when you get over 120 or 25 miles an hour, there definitely is. The drafting comes into effect as we see Gant now trying to move on the inside.
Off of corner number 4, let's see if Gant can grab the lead here from Rob Moroso. They cross the line, and indeed Harry Gant has the lead by about a half a car length advantage. So Harry Gant becomes the second leader of this race in car number 7. Rob Moroso goes back to second position. It is Jarrett still in third, Rick Wilson driving in fourth, and Mark Martin fifth. Those 5 cars running right together.
What a wise move that Robbie Moroso did, though, when Harry Gant got by him. He moved right in line because he was going to go back to 6th if he'd stayed out there going into the corner.
So Rob Moroso, although he's only the tender age of 20 years old, is definitely showing some racing knowledge by that move. Now you can see how much the Gant has pulled away already from Rob Moroso and the others as that number 7 car, the Whitaker Racing Buick of Harry Gant, now stretches the advantage.
You see, the last car in line there is a number 1 car. That's a Ford automobile, and as you said a moment ago, it has a V6 engine. And I think that NASCAR has to be looking at that car kind of hard today and looking at the performance there, because there's so many questions asked. When is NASCAR going to go to V6? The first thing they've got to do is get a competitive Ford V6 engine. If this car runs competitive today, that means that we're a lot closer to V6 engine.
Well, the car number 22 of Rick Mast that we talked about now has slowed on the backstretch. Rick started in the 17th position, but right now he has slowed down. As you mentioned, Benny, we didn't see that smoke. He's still out there running, but he's down on the inside of the racetrack. Here we see him now, and he is definitely off the pace.
Are certainly not up to full song as he is on the inside of the racetrack, and the others are passing by. The 47 of Billy Standridge goes around there, and Rick Mast is not having a good early part of this race, but he'll be one of the competitors in tomorrow's Goodwrench 500 that will have live coverage of here at 12 noon on ESPN.
Well, Harry Gant now opening up a lead as those drivers battle for second position back there. Jarrett goes high, and here comes Rick Wilson down on the inside. So Jarrett's going to move all the way back to fifth with that little slip.
Indeed, the number 75 car of Rick Wilson and the number 1 car of Mark Martin both pass the 32 of Dale Jarrett. So Dale goes back to fifth position. The order they're running in now is Harry Gant, Rob Moroso, then Rick Wilson, followed by Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett. And Dale Earnhardt is not all that far behind, as he has been moving up steadily and currently finds himself in 6-5.
He started in 10th position, so he has picked off 4 automobiles, and he is gaining on the leaders, or at least he's gaining on the second place car. He might not be gaining on Harry Gant, but he is certainly gaining on Rob Moroso.
Got to be impressed, though, with the early performance of Harry Gant, as he was able to pass Rob Moroso for the lead and now has been able to stretch out the advantage a little bit. And here comes Dale Earnhardt in car number 3. He is running in 6th position, and not too far behind him is the 81 car. That's Bobby Hillin Jr.
And the 32 car of Dale Jarrett is off the pace a little bit. I don't know if he has the tire going down. In fact, he's coming down on the inside of the track. Earnhardt goes by him on the high side of the racetrack coming off of turn 4. And Jarrett coming into the pits. Rick Mast is in the pits already with the hood up on his car.
So Rick Mast is in for some work on his car, and so is Dale Jarrett in. And we'll check on the reasons for both of these pit stops and get back to you in just a moment after these messages from Rockingham, North Carolina. Stay with us.
More than 100 business and professional exhibitors will show off products and services Friday and Saturday, March 10th and 11th, during the DeLand Area Chamber of Commerce Business Showcase at Stetson University's Edmonds Center. Bring the family for a stroll through the showcase. It's all free, with door prizes, demonstrations, free samples, and more. The DeLand Area Chamber of Commerce Business Showcase, Friday and Saturday, March 10th and 11th, at Stetson's Edmonds Center. Doors open 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. each day. And remember, showcase admission is free.
My Central Florida Olds dealer gave me these international driving glasses free, just for test driving in Olds. I chose the limited edition Supreme Daytona 500. Fog lights, spoiler, ground effects, even an optional sunroof. International driving glasses free, just for a test drive. This is not my daddy's Oldsmobile. And this is definitely not my daddy.
This is the new generation of Olds.
At the Rockingham, North Carolina, the Goodwrench 200 Busch Grand National Race. Here's the battle for second position. The number 75 car, driven by Rick Wilson, has taken over second. Here's the battle for third. That's Mark Martin on the inside in car number 1, and Rob Moroso.
Caution is out. Trouble down in turns 1 and 2.
Spin involving several cars between turns 1 and 2. We have 2 cars that are sitting in the middle of the racetrack and several on the apron of the track, as everybody now slows down and avoids the melee that broke out down between turns 1 and 2. We'll get a better indication of who's involved in a few moments. Certainly the number 47 car of Billy Standridge is involved, and I believe that Steve Grissom also is involved in that yellow car. And the other one we're not able to get a good look at. There's the yellow flag that's being displayed for the first time this afternoon at Rockingham.
That's Brandon Baker there, Buddy's youngest son. This is his first start, I think, in Busch Grand National. That's the Sam Ard automobile that Jimmy Hensley drove last year.
And here is the 38 car driven by Dave Simpson that is limping toward pit row with a lot of front end damage. And here is a replay.
And the yellow car, the car number 9 of Chuck Bowen, down on the inside. He had already, the back end had started around, and there's the car spinning to the outside is the car number.
That's hard to get a.
Resendez is the red car, I think, on the outside, wasn't it? The 79 car.
I believe that's correct, and the number 38 car of Simpson also involved in the crash. Steve Grissom was down on the inside of the track, and also Baker.
I said that was Chuck Bowen. That was Steve Grissom in car number 9, and Jack Carute is in Rick Mast's pits, who is having trouble.
Well, Ned, we've already documented the problems before the start of the race for Rick Mast, having to change that manifold and the excessive smoke coming out of the headers, but that's not the problem right now. You see, they burned out a coil, and they're replacing the coil, and this caution is somewhat expeditious for them, because now at least they'll be able to do it and not lose as many laps because it's under caution rather than under green. Let's go back up to you.
Can you imagine that you look like the engine's gone, you have to change the intake manifold, you get that problem licked, and oil goes bad.
There is Dale Jarrett into the pits once again. He came in earlier and lost a lap, but he's in for a second time now. They're going to be changing tires on the right side of that car.
No, they're doing something to the right front. There's something wrong in the right front of Dale Jarrett's automobile.
So Jarrett...
I would say that they're putting a rubber in the spring. The car's probably a little loose, and they're beefing that up a little bit during this caution period.
And there is Dave Simpson, one of the drivers involved in this incident, down between turn number 1 and 2. Back with more of the Goodwrench 200 from Rockingham, North Carolina after this.
There's a rough road ahead with no end in sight. Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
Quaker State is quality engineered to exceed every single American, European, and Japanese car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection.
So pistons are protected from friction mile after mile. Valves are protected from wear year in, year out.
That's why Quaker State engines run strong and run long.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
For the pride, for the dream, for the love, and for the team, for the sweat and for the drive, for the reason you strive.
For all you do, the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood aged Budweiser.
This Bud's for you. This Bud's for you.
ESPN opens the door on NCAA basketball, slam-jammed with color and excitement. See a parade of outstanding players in sparkling displays every night. March Madness begins with an ESPN tradition. Championship Week, 62 teams, 31 games, 23 conference championships, the best basketball of the season. The color and excitement of Championship Week continues tonight, live on ESPN.
Cleanup continues down between turns 1 and 2. Our first caution of the afternoon. Several cars involved in an incident down there, including the number 9 of Steve Grissom and others. Well, there are a lot of championships being decided this week in basketball, and ESPN's Championship Week coverage continues tonight at 7 o'clock live. The Northeast Conference Championship involving the game between Robert Morris and Farley Dickinson. And then at 9 o'clock, the Mid-Eastern Conference Championship featuring South Carolina State and Florida A&M. Let's go down to the pit area, and Jerry Punch is with Dave Simpson, one of those involved in that incident down there.
Probably the most heavily injured car in this incident was Dave Simpson's Buick. It's behind the wall being worked on by the Tide crew. They rented the Tide crew, Jeff Hammond, Darrell Waltrip's crew, working on the car. And Dave, what happened over there?
Well, I don't know who it was, but they just ran on. We went in side by side on one, and he just pinched me down. And when he run into me, he hit me pretty hard, and it got me a little loose and spun around. That was about it.
Pretty heavy front end damage on this car as Jeff Hammond and the rest of the Tide crew working to put the car back together to get this youngster from Torrance, California back on the racetrack. Let's go up pit road to Jackaroo.
Well, actually, Jerry, we're on the back side of the pits where some of the markers are working today, and you can see the Billy Standridge crew is going to work, having lost the hood of the car, doing a little cosmetic surgery. Let's see if we can get a word with Billy. Billy, what happened out there in the accident?
38 car, Dave Simpson, had gotten under 79, and they both touched and got sideways. I hit the 38 car in the left front. I couldn't, there's no way to avoid him. I think 3 or 4 more cars run into him after I got through.
Well, the crew is going to try and continue to make repairs, and hopefully they'll get Billy Standridge back out in this race at the Rock. Back to you.
And, of course, as Benny Parsons mentioned, Brandon Baker was involved in that accident, as well as the car number 9 of Steve Grissom.
And just before the accident occurred, Steve Grissom had radioed the crew that the car was not handling right, and his was certainly one of the badly damaged cars involved in that incident. So we are clicking off laps, but they are under caution. And no injuries down there between turns number 1 and 2, but our first caution of the day. We'll be right back.
Says Chevy beats Ford. USAC tested Chevy's compact S10 with available Vortec V6 against 2 full-size Fords with standard 6 and available V8. 0 to 60, towing identical trailers. Chevy S10 beat both full-size Fords. That's pickup power.
And if a compact Chevy S10 with a V6 can out-accelerate a full-size Ford with a V8. Imagine what it can do against Ford's little truck.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
It started a car deserted on a frozen lake for 4 months, and 40 cars after 2.5 hours with their lights left on. Today's Die Hard, with power to start your car and a whole lot more.
When he's working, when his work is done, a man wants a jean he can feel comfortable in. American Hero Jeans from Wrangler.
Still under caution as the cleanup continues from our accident that we had down there involving 4 cars. But all the drivers appear to be okay. A couple of them have walked into the hospital, but nothing serious. And there was one of the more badly damaged cars. That's the number 9 of Steve Grissom. Well, it's difficult to tell Busch Grand National cars from Winston Cup cars at first glance, but there are subtle differences, and one is the subject of today's Track Fact. Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will.
When looking at the hood assembly of a Winston Cup car, you see 2 pieces, a main hood section and a separate base plate separating the main hood from the windshield. Well, take a look at a Busch Grand National car. This year, for the first time, NASCAR has mandated a single-piece hood assembly. No longer do you have a separate base plate. Why is this done? Well, it's to control the opening here, this cowl opening, which is supposed to be no larger than 20 by 2.5 inches. With a single-piece hood, this cowl opening can be better controlled by measurements. Now, with the 2-piece hoods like the Winston Cup cars had, sometimes these pieces would disappear during a race, or even they would flex back here. This base plate would flex with the wind, allowing more air to seep in here, therefore more horsepower. I'm not saying anyone would intentionally cheat, but it's a little easier to control it this way than over in the Winston Cup garage. And just possibly these hoods may be on the Winston Cup cars before the year is out.
And controlling the rules, a very big part of NASCAR, Winston Cup, and Busch Grand National Racing. We're still under caution, and we'll be right back with more of our live coverage on this Saturday afternoon from Rockingham, North Carolina.
Rocky Mountain snow to Florida sun. Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
Mine's pushing 250,000 miles.
Quaker State engines run strong and run long.
95,000 miles and no problem.
Quaker State is quality engineered to exceed every single car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection.
This car's new. I'd be stupid not to use Quaker State.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will.
We're back with another test of Chevy versus Ford. And this one you can do at home. Just load both trucks with eggs and lower something heavy down on them. You'll see that Chevy has these notches that let you do double-deck loading. You'll see that Ford doesn't have any notches. That's why we've had a change of heart about pickups. With Ford, you can bring home the bacon. With Chevy, you can bring home the bacon and the eggs.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
Sure, I know painting. Sky blue, lemon yellow. Want to know any more? Ask Ace.
Ace 5-Star Flat Latex is just $6.97 a gallon, and this clamp lamp is Best Buy priced at $2.99.
Hey, Ace is the place for me.
Showtime is blowing away the competition. Showtime's box office blowout includes hits like 3 Men and a Baby, Good Morning Vietnam. You won't see those on HBO. Showtime exclusives. Here you see them, there you don't.
Gee, Ollie, this windshield's so messy, I can't see. We need new wiper blades.
I know that.
Make sure your windshield wipers work when you need them. Get a new set of ANCO blades at least once a year and see what you've been missing.
Ollie, without new Anco wipers, we could have been hit by that piano. Oh. Piano? No!
To some, it's routine maintenance. To others, it's an act of love. If you truly appreciate fine machinery, you protect it with Purelator filters.
Welcome back to the Goodwrench 200 Busch Grand National race at Rockingham. There's your leader, car number 7, driven by Harry Gant. And there you also see the interval between first and second. Now a battle develops for second position. Rick Wilson drives car 75, and Mark Martin is in number 1. And Mark looked like he wanted to make a bid for that second position coming out of corner number 4, but falls back into third spot. So it is Gant followed by Wilson and then Mark Martin. Side-by-side competition here. The number 99 car is driven by Tommy Ellis, and the 55 car coming on the inside is Phil Parsons. Those in the outside lane are the number 87 machine driven by Greg Sachs and the number 34 of Jimmy Spencer.
Tell you what, it doesn't get much better than that. Great race. Tommy Ellis on the inside, Greg Sachs on the outside.
And this is the battle for 7th position as Ellis tries to hold on to that 7th spot. They swing out of corner number 2 and down the backstretch. Side-by-side competition. Tommy Ellis and Greg Sachs in car number 87.
It looks like the inside groove might be the best way around. He was able to hang down there. Here comes Phil Parsons down on the inside, taking measure of Greg Sachs as well. So that inside route seems to be the best one right now.
And also in this battle here, the number 28 machine of Davey Allison and the number 11 of Jack Ingram. So we have about 6 cars here that are very close together on the racetrack, but the side-by-side battle at the moment involves the 55 of Phil Parsons, and he is almost out of control, but saves it miraculously and lost only a few inches, actually. A nice job of driving by Phil Parsons, who was sideways in turn 4.
Taught him everything he knows.
Yes, and you taught him well, if you can say that. We'll take a look at it again.
There we see he can't let the car go up. He has to pull it down to get it in the sight of Greg Sachs, and when he does, he loses the back end. But he really does a nice job saving on the wheel.
And right there on his back bumper was the number 34 car, Jimmy Spencer, and he too did a nice job of evasive action. And now look at Tommy Ellis. He has moved up to challenge the number 81 car, driven by Bobby Hillen Jr.
Of course, Tommy Ellis clinched the Busch Grand National Championship here last October. Trouble down in turn 1.
That is car sliding sideways on the inside of the racetrack. It's Tommy Houston in car number 6. So our second caution flag of the afternoon flies on North Carolina Motor Speedway. Looks like Tommy's going to get the car headed in the right direction and will get restarted, but our second yellow flies.
Then turn 1 must be extremely slick. When someone with the experience of Tommy Houston goes down the corner and apparently lost control going in, that means the racetrack is treacherous down there.
Evidently, it is very slick down there. We'll take a look at it again as Tommy Houston is already sideways down on the inside. There was oil drive from that previous accident down there, and apparently his left wheels got in that, making it break completely loose. So around he goes. The other cars goes around on the outside. So Tommy Houston, the only driver involved here, and as you can see, he's coming on around. Tommy might want to adjust his approach to that turn the next time around.
He's going to have to do something, but I just can't believe how he just went in that corner and apparently lost control. Now, maybe there is a problem that we're not aware of. He's going to the pits right now, and they're going to change something on the car. But how lucky he was when we saw that spin that the car stayed on the bottom of the racetrack. If it had drifted back up across the racetrack the way they normally do, you see all those cars coming behind?
Oh, yeah.
It could have been bad.
It really could have been. So he was very fortunate in that respect, and
right
Tommy knew that, so he was trying to keep it down. Yeah, his tire does appear to be flat, so he's coming in for a change right now.
Talked about the experience that Tommy Houston has. He has started all 208 Busch Grand National races, and now Bobby Hillen Jr.'s service is completed on his number 81 car. He's being stopped at the pit road. Now they're giving him the go sign, and he'll be able to fall back in the tail of the field on the racetrack. Bobby Hillen Jr. from Midland, Texas, out after a pit stop.
New sponsor on that car this year, Rosie Stores, a retail chain in the southeastern part of the country. Now, Bobby had started in the 4th position today, but he was dropping back in the pack. It didn't seem the car was handling too well for him, so I guess he decided to come in and get some tires and try to correct that.
He had fallen back to 7th before he decided to come in for the fuel stop, and there you can see the drivers taking advantage of this yellow flag. These are cars on the backstretch. Let's go down to the pit area once again.
Well, Ned Jarrett, you mentioned Bobby Hillin have been dropping back. Well, the reason he's dropping back is he blew their good engine this morning in the final practice session. So Jerry Kennan, the crew chief, and the rest of that crew had to really scurry around and put a backup engine in the car. They just got the engine put in the car and were able to fire the car and get it online prior to going for the green flag. So Hillin is lucky to even be in this race, much less running competitively.
And there he is on the racetrack at the tail of the field, Bobby Hillin Jr.
And the NASCAR North Busch Grand National Champion for 1988, Jamie Albee, is behind the wall in car number 41. This is a mixed race of the NASCAR North drivers as well as the regulars on the Busch Series, and the champion now out of it here today.
As a matter of fact, there were 4 Busch Grand National North drivers starting in today's 39-car field. Yellow remains out at Rockingham. Back with more by live coverage after these messages.
For nearly 60 years, we've been doing something some other car dealers don't understand. I'm Bill Lloyd of Lloyd Buick Cadillac BMW. Since 1930, we've treated our customers with respect, sold cars at a fair price, serviced what we've sold properly, and avoided gimmick advertising. Discover for yourself that there is a difference in dealerships. And remember, at Lloyd Buick Cadillac BMW in downtown Daytona Beach, if you can't deal with us, you just can't deal.
Cable, it's technology.
We're processing a signal that's traveling over 44,000 miles, typically for a satellite transmission. We process it down and make it into something usable. We have thousands of pieces of equipment to go through, thousands of components, thousands of miles of cable.
Our customers should expect the best possible signals, the best possible sound, reliable service, and pleasant people.
Cable in Florida. We're at your service.
Start your engines!
ESPN's NASCAR season begins with the Goodwrench 500, Sunday afternoon at noon Eastern, live on ESPN.
We are back at Rockingham, and you are seeing the resumption of the race. The green flag drops, and the competition resumes as Harry Gant still has the lead in this Goodwrench 200 Busch Grand National race. It is Rick Wilson running in second, Mark Martin is third, and fourth is Dale Earnhardt.
And a battle for fifth place. Tommy Ellis got a good jump, moved on the inside of Rob Moroso.
He got a little bit too much of a good stop because NASCAR is going to black flag him the next time for a jump in the restart.
So Tommy Ellis, the defending Busch Grand National Champion, here is the black flag for him. That'll be a stop-and-go penalty. A little over anxious.
Sponsored by Goo Goo Clusters this year, the number 99 car of Tommy Ellis. There you can see he's still racing with the 87 car of Greg Sachs, but he's going to have to heed that black flag that has just been displayed to him. In fact, he may be doing so right now. Indeed, he is slowing down, dropping to the inside of the racetrack, and Tommy Ellis will be penalized for jumping to restart.
What happens on this penalty is that he goes to his pits, he stops, and then he's allowed to go off, to take off again.
Let's see if they use the opportunity to do anything to the car. It doesn't look like it. It's just going to be a very quick stop. And Tommy Ellis makes a complete dead stop and then accelerates out of the pit area.
I'm surprised they didn't at least try to put a little bit of fuel in it, but I guess they didn't want to take that much time. He wants certainly to try to stay in the lead lap, and the leader is coming across the start-finish line now, so he's about a little more than 3/4 of a lap behind.
That's a pretty severe penalty for jumping one car is you lose 3/4 of a lap. But NASCAR says that you're not going to jump the restarts. That's a penalty, and everyone knows it. So.
And there is second and third position, Rick Wilson, car 75, and Mark Martin. And look at these guys. They were racing together before we had the caution, and they're back racing together once again. This time it's the 28 of Davey Allison, the 87 of Greg Sachs. Jimmy Spencer is there in car number 34, and so is the 11 of Jack Ingram. Now let's go to Jack Arute, who can answer a question posed earlier by Ned. Jack?
Ned, you asked why Tommy Ellis didn't at least put some fuel in his crew, that is, and their answer was very simple. It would have taken too long. Back to you.
Okay, and he could have gone a lap down because he is 3/4 of a lap down now, not taking on any fuel, so that was a good move on their part.
And you can figure that with the history of this racetrack, there's going to be adequate number of cautions to come in and get fuel, so it probably was a good move on Tommy Ellis's part not to take on the fuel.
Here's Jimmy Spencer making a good move down on the inside. New sponsor on his car this year, Wayne Paging, in car number 34. He's a former National Winston Modified champion.
And Phil Parsons is slowed on the back straightaway. He's out on the inside. As we watch Jack Ingram in the 11 take the spot. That's what I was mentioning just a moment ago when Rob Moroso fell back and saved the guys from keeping that inside line. See, what happens to Sachs is he's unable to get to the inside, and just car after car is past him. If he ever gets to the bottom of the racetrack, he probably will be able to run as fast as some of those other cars.
And he's being passed by the 38 car driven by the 38 car driven by Kenny Wallace, and the 55 car of Phil Parsons is behind the wall. So another one of those Winston Cup competitors who has crossed over to Busch Grand National Racing has pulled behind the wall.
And look who has moved up into second place. Mark Martin now in the Ford has moved up to second and is closing in on Harry Gant, who is leading this race. Look at him really picking up through the corners.
He is going through the corners so fast.
His new V6 engine is a Don Kowalski built machine from Lynchburg, Virginia. This will be the first race for the Kowalski V6, and it is very impressive at the moment.
I believe that Gant might be having a tire problem or something. He has slowed a little bit, not taking anything away from the run that Mark Martin is making right now. But Harry Gant has pulled out to a good lead, and you can see the car goes a little bit high in the turn, not too much, but just a little bit. And Martin now
Harry Gant won the fall race here last year, and Mark Martin won the spring race last year, and these two are running first and second at the moment. Now we'll go we'll take a look now at the number 75 car, which is in third position. That, of course, is driven by Rick Wilson, but it is falling back just a little bit as Harry Gant and Mark Martin go for it. Here's Mark Martin moving to the inside of Harry Gant, coming off of corner number 4. They cross the stripe. They're in a dead heat, and now Mark Martin pulls ahead going into turn number 1, our third leader of the afternoon. Now, we are going to go back just a few laps ago and show you how he got second position from the number 75 car of Wilson.
Well, of course, they were lapping a car down the inside. Wilson goes high into the turn. Martin just goes between the two cars, puts it down on the inside with his left wheels on the apron of the track almost. Wilson slips just a little bit in car number 75. That gave Mark Martin all he needed to move the Ford around. He is the only driver to ever win in Busch Grand National competition in a Ford car, and he has 4 victories.
Now let's go to Jerry Punch. Jerry, have you been able to find a possible problem on that Harry Gant car?
Well, I've been talking to Ed Whitaker and Jim Harmon here in the pits, and Harry had radioed in and told them during the last yellow flag that the car was very, very loose. And as long as he stayed out by himself and didn't have a car behind him, the car was okay. But once Mark Martin was able to run him down and put the nose of the Ford beneath the Buick of Gant's car, the rear of his car, it took air away from Gant's spoiler, and the car was so loose that Gant couldn't drive it. So Gant decided I'll back off and bide my time and wait for a yellow flag or a pit stop to get that corrected. Let's go over to Jack LaRue. Jack?
Well, Jerry, I'm with Phil Parsons, and Phil, you're out of the race awfully early. What happened?
I'm not sure, Jack. Something happened to the engine going down into turn 1. It started fluttering, and I started to smell the smoke, and I shut it off.
And now we've got Kenny Wallace has come out also. They're starting to drop out. What about the track conditions out there?
Really slick. Turn 1 and 2, you can't even hardly get any grip at all. So, I don't know. Hopefully we'll get some rubber down. Maybe because of the rain is why it's so slick, but it's extremely slick right now.
We're going to throw it back up to you, and we'll go check on the condition of Kenny Wallace.
All right, there was heavy rain here at Rockingham all day yesterday that perhaps washed the rubber and the groove off. And as you gentlemen indicated earlier, thinking that at turn 1 and 2 area may be extremely slick, that has been verified now by Phil.
And Bob, 2 of the cars that were in the first accident, car number 47, Billy Strandrich, and the car number 38 of Dave Simpson, have re-entered the race. Of course, both of those drivers planning to run for the points on the Busch Grand National Circuit this year, so they're out there trying to get as much as they can.
The number 11 car of Jack Ingram and the 28 car of Davey Allison are racing out there, and that is for the 6th position. Ingram right now in 6th, and Davey Allison in 7th spot.
Jack Ingram perhaps had the worst year in 1988 that he's had in a long, long time. He didn't win a race on this circuit, and it's been more than 20 years since he didn't win a feature race in this type of competition until last year. So he's really confident about 1989 and running a very good race here today.
Down in the pit area, meanwhile, there's a lot of work going on in the Kenny Wallace car, and you can see Rusty there kind of leading the operation, and Jack Arute is standing right there. Jack?
Well, what they're working on is in the back, and it looks, Rusty, as if maybe you broke an axle.
No, he's tore a drive plate up on the left rear. I've never seen it happen in my life, the way it tore up. So they're just going to have to pull the caliper off and fix that. That's strange, I'll tell you.
Very, very strange. Let's see if we can get a word with Kenny. Kenny, how tough is it when you've got to sit here with something as strange as what's happened to you? We thought it might have been an axle, and it was even simpler than that. It was a plate.
Well, it's really tough. You know, a brand new team, we're running this well, and we're putting all the critics to rest running up front like this. And, we'll bounce back. It's a bad deal, but, what can you do? It's something really freak. So, we'll just have to get out there and run for the points.
Tough to sit and wait, but that's what he's going to do, gentlemen.
And another driver with a big future ahead of him. Very impressive by sitting on the pole at the Daytona Goodies 300 last month.
And for the first time ever, they have a rookie program, Rookie of the Year program in the Busch Grand National Series this year. And, of course, Kenny Wallace is one of the rookie drivers.
And there is Mark Martin moving around traffic in car number 1. He's the leader of this race. Second and third position, Harry Gant in second, Rick Wilson in third. Car number 75 running in fourth position is the number 25 car. That's driven by Rob Moroso. You can see here that Gant and Rick Wilson are running right together on the racetrack as they also try to lap some of the slower traffic, taking the high groove in turns 3 and 4.
That was Harry Gant going completely to the top of the racetrack that time, trying to get by the Joe Bessie automobile.
And there is the number 11 car of Jack Ingram, and he is up to 6th spot and doing a very impressive job. Davey Allison in number 28 runs in 7th, and Jimmy Spencer in car number 34 is in 8th position. And we might as well give you the other two that are in the top 10. The 9th spot is being held down by the number 2 of L.D. Ottinger, and in 10th position is the 45 car of Patty Moise.
L.D. Ottinger just went by the Davey Allison automobile, so that must have moved him up a couple of spots.
Now here is Dale Earnhardt driving car number 3. He is in 5th position, and the 11 car has indeed been closing the last few laps. And so Dale may have his hands full here trying to keep on to that 5th spot.
Yeah, he had moved up to 4th place on that last restart, but now he has dropped back to 5th. Rob Moroso has passed him. Rob has dropped back to the 5th position, and now it looks like Jack Ingram definitely is closing in on him. And here comes Harry Gant, who led this race early. Let's see, does he have a tire problem? What is this they're going to do?
Well, they're going to move to the right side of the car and change the tires on that side and also refuel the car, and Jerry Punch can describe the action.
Well, apparently they have a tire problem, and the car just could not wait as Gant said it's getting slicker and slicker. 13 seconds, 14. So a little over 14 seconds, Gant down and away with 2 right side tires.
But Jerry, like Dale Jarrett, when he made an unscheduled pit stop for tires, Harry Gant will go a lap down. Mark Martin just went around him. So Harry Gant, a lot of fighting to do to get back up there.
Here is Harry moving back up to speed as he goes into turn number 3, and there is our leader, Mark Martin, driving car number 1. Mark from Batesville, Arkansas, and that car is the Carolina Ford Dealers Ford V6.
And Bob, I mentioned earlier that he's the only driver to win in a Ford car. He has 4 victories, but all of those were with V8 engines. When he won here a year ago, this very Goodwrench 200, he was using a V8 engine. Now with the V6, still getting the job done.
The number 10 car, driven by Ken Bouchard, has apparently blown an engine or has suffered some kind of mechanical difficulty because there's a lot of smoke coming from that car. And Ken is now on the apron of the racetrack headed toward turn number 1 to his pit on the backstretch.
Of course, he was the Rookie of the Year on the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit in 1988.
Isn't it impressive when car number 1 is leading the race? But boy, don't they look, that number 1, doesn't it look bad when it's running about 15th?
Well, Mark Martin looks very good at the moment as he continues to hold on to the lead. As there you can see Kenny Bouchard falling into the backstretch pit area. And it looks like he's going to drive it behind the wall and probably call it an afternoon. So Ken Bouchard will be back with the Winston Cup competitors tomorrow afternoon as we bring you live coverage of the Goodwrench 500 at noon. There's the number 1 car of Mark Martin, who is leading. The number 7 car is Harry Gant, is right behind him, but Gant is now a lap down. Back in a moment.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh, yeah.
Chevy S10 Blazer, the most powerful V6 engine available in its class, and the most fun available in any class.
To the heartbeat of America. Chevrolet. That's today's Chevrolet.
With a blade that stays rigid to over 7 feet, the Lufkin XL33 measuring tape is more than just the longest tape you may ever need. It is literally the most outstanding. The Lufkin XL33 measuring tape from Cooper Tools. The difference between work and workmanship.
Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, Jack Arute, and Jerry Punch back in North Carolina Motor Speedway, Rockingham, for the Goodwrench 200 Busch Grand National Race. Now, the number 7 car there is Harry Gant, and he is running ahead of our leader, the number 1 car of Mark Martin. But Harry has only gotten his lap back, and he lost it when he came in for a pit stop, and here's how he got it back. And remember this incident, because it could be very important to the outcome of the race.
Yes, it could be. Harry, with the new right side tires on the car number 7, was able to move down on the inside. Mark Martin slips up a little bit in the car number 1, and Gant just motors right on by.
And that puts him in 22nd position. So, yeah, he's got quite a bit of distance to make up, but nevertheless, he is back on the lead lap now. Jerry Punch, why was it that Gant had to make that unscheduled pit stop?
Well, we saw Harry's car getting looser and looser. He just couldn't drive the car in the corners. And what happened? He had a right front tire going down. A small puncture in the right front tire here where it's been marked cut. That's the reason for the unscheduled pit stop. But don't worry about Harry again. He's already back in the lead lap. And Harry told the crew, hey, guys, remember, we're undefeated on ESPN. This Buick he's driving today is the same car he won with at Darlington and Rockingham back last fall. Let's go down pit road to Jack Arute.
And I'm with a fellow that'll be calling the shots tomorrow for Mark Martin. And Mark is out front here in a car that seems to be handling better than anybody else, but doesn't have horsepower. Now, what's the story, Steve Meal?
Well, he hasn't really run the car hard yet, Jackie, because we want to make sure we can go all the way on the left side tires. We anticipate changing the right side tires at halfway for fuel. We don't want to make but one stop, so we're pacing them, making them run just as fast as we need to.
Now, that leads us into a question about tires. All weekend, everybody said that the Goodyears might be good for qualifying, but the Hoosiers might be a little bit better when it comes to the course of the race. So far, the majority of competitors here today are running the Goodyears, but we've begun to see some tire problems on the right side. How does that foreboard for tomorrow?
Well, I think the problems you're seeing are cut tires. I think the Goodyear is going to be the tire of choice both today and tomorrow.
Well, that's the story, at least his vote, thus far in this race and also for tomorrow, gentlemen.
All right, now let's talk about this. We mentioned that perhaps the V6 Ford was down on horsepower, but remember, Benny, that car came out of nowhere earlier in the race to pass Gant, although Gant may have been slowing down a bit, but maybe indeed there is more to this engine that's being shown right now.
Well, there could be. The thing that I was basing my opinion on was just watching the thing on the screen in the corner just close up on the other automobiles. Looked like that he was handling so much better. Plus the line, we watch Mark Martin right now. He's able to stay on the bottom of the racetrack, right on the bottom of the racetrack, much better than anyone else there.
And that is with tires that have now been run 73 laps. So that's a good mark of a handling race car, and he's closing back in on Gant. He'll try to put him a lap down again.
Ooh, wow, look at that. Harry Gant and that white 7 go through that traffic. And Mark Martin, he just follows him through.
Well, that's fun when you can do it that way.
Oh, it is. It's what great fun these guys are having right now. There's nothing in the world like it, Ned. You know that.
Mark Martin drives a Ford in Winston Cup competition and a Ford in Busch Grand National. And we asked him earlier in the weekend, you seem to really enjoy running that Ford. Why is that?
It's a challenge to us. We think we can win with the Ford V6. Soon. And not very many people think so. And that's the kind of deals I like to be involved in, because I think we can.
Caution is out. Where's Harry?
We have a crash on the backstretch.
Harry Gant's going down the backstretch in heavy traffic. We see him go underneath the Fatty Moise car. Now he's going straight to the top of the racetrack. But I think he's going to meet Martin back and get his lap back.
Indeed, it looks like that Martin is coming in for a pit stop. So Harry Gant does get the lap back, and the leader, Mark Martin, is in the pits. Jack Arute is right there.
Well, Mark Martin locks it up. But now they've gone to work in what should be a fairly normal pit stop, right side rubber only. We're going to let you just listen to the action here. Fairly good stuff for Martin, but also a good break for Harry Gant, as you said, Benny Parsons.
It sure was. Able to get that lap down. The pace car sitting out waiting. Mark Martin goes back on the racetrack.
And there is the 38 car driven by Dave Simpson, and he was the one involved in the incident back there. This is his second accident of the afternoon. Let's take a replay.
Well, Simpson, I imagine, gets bumped from behind by that other automobile. You can't tell, but it looks like he could possibly have gotten bumped from behind that automobile.
Slammed him down on the inside to the inside retaining wall. The car turns back around. Here's the second place car of Rick Wilson in the pits. And I think Rob Moroso, we'll check on him a little bit, but I think Rob Moroso came in too early. I think that he might be a lap down. Here's Dale Earnhardt in the pits. Most of the top drivers coming in for a change of at least 2 tires during this caution period.
Our third caution of the afternoon, Dave Simpson having contact with the backstretch wall. Dave, of course, is the son of Bill Simpson of Simpson Safety Equipment. Bill himself a former driver, and Dave Simpson moving into Busch Grand National competition from open wheel competition. There is Earnhardt going back out on the racetrack, as is the number 45 car driven by Patty Moise. Our third caution is out on the Goodwrench 200 from North Carolina Motor Speedway. We'll be back with more of our live coverage after this.
For the pride, for the dream, for the love, and for the team, for the will that comes from the heart, for the skill that sets you apart, for the sweat and for the drive, for the reason you strive for all you do. This was for you, for the hope and for the pride, for that fire inside.
For all you do, the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood aged Budweiser.
When customers come in with a project, we help them find everything they need to get the job done right the first time.
Come in and save during our sale on Coast 25-foot measuring tape with locking blade and belt clip, only $4.88. And save on Black & Decker's cordless screwdriver with lock for manual use and 3-position switch, only $16.99 at your local Coast to Coast and Home and Auto stores.
Coast to Coast Home and Auto.
Back at Rockingham, where we are still under caution because of an incident on the backstretch involving Dave Simpson. Now, the 25 car is the first car behind the pace car, but he's not on the lead lap, Ned.
That's Rob Moroso, who started on the pole here today. We noted that Mark Martin came down pit road as soon as the caution was coming out. He was the leader, pretty far in front of Rob Moroso, so he got his service, got his 2 tires changed, got back out before the pace car came out on the track. Rob Moroso was several seconds behind him. He came in and made a pit stop, but he did not get back out before the pace car pulled out, so he is almost a lap down.
Tell you what, it's awfully hard to make a pit stop on a 1-mile racetrack and not be lapped, even on a caution flag situation, if the pace car isn't on the racetrack.
And in this case, Bennett, everyone except Mark Martin were still running at full speed. They stayed out there. They got the caution, stayed out, and then slowed down behind the pace car and came in for their pit stops. But Rob came in before the field got slowed down.
Exactly right. So he watched all those guys, those veterans. We talked about just a moment ago being a rookie or a young man. He watched all those veterans in Daytona dive in. But Daytona is 2.5-mile racetrack. There's a big difference.
Jack Arute has a tire story on pit road.
Well, actually, it's good news, Bob and Benny and Ned. You know, we were talking and wondering how the tires were holding up. These are the right side tires that came off of Rick Wilson's car. Now, they're flat worn out. There's not much left to them. But remember, they've gone 81 laps, so that says something pretty good about Goodyear and the Eagle tires here.
Of course, Goodyear lost the first Daytona 500 in many, many years, but looks like they're back in full strength, at least for this Busch Grand National race, and they will be tomorrow for the Winston Cup race. There's the number 22 car of Rick Mast, and he's still smoking but still running.
You know, Rick Mast has been smoking all day, but he made about 15, 20 laps. He stayed in the pits about 15, 20 laps trying to repair a faulty coil. So now he's trying to tear up the pieces.
You know, I'll be anxious to see how he performs during this Winston Cup race tomorrow, but he was one of the stars, in my opinion, of the Daytona 500.
He certainly was. He had a fine 6th place finish. He was running 3rd late in the race and made a pit stop and wound up 6th in the Daytona 500.
Okay, now what are they doing down there, Ben?
They are gluing. That's why that they can make these pit stops so quick. Watch them. They're putting some weather strip adhesive on the lug nuts, placing them down in the wheel, and they'll take a piece of metal when they get all that done, and they'll press down them to center them up. And then as soon as they dry, those fellows are able to pick up those tires and throw them on the hub and not have to start the nuts on there. The studs on the wheel have a self-starting stud. These nuts slide over. There's the piece of metal going down to press them in place. And that way they don't have to use their hands to start the nuts.
So innovations on pit road that have come along in the past few years as the crews get ready to put on a set of tires if they are needed. We're live at Rockingham, North Carolina, and we'll be back after this.
When he's working, when his work is done, a man wants a jean he can feel comfortable in. American Hero Jeans from Wrangler.
Come cruising with Quaker State, and you could win this 57 Vet. Buy a case of Quaker State and send for a free cruising cassette. Rock, soul, country, or California sounds. And maybe win this vintage Vet. The road goes on forever when you're cruising with Quaker State quality.
Jeep Racing Team, the winningest team in off-road racing, goes nowhere without Craftsman tools. From their durable precision power tools to hand tools that are guaranteed forever. So, make sure it's a Craftsman, because you don't want to get stuck with anything else.
Hey, come on, can't you do that later? Hey, I've always dreamt of owning a car like this, and I'm keeping it forever.
To some, it's an antique. To others, it's a dear old friend. If you truly love your car and want to make the romance last forever, protect it with Pure Later filters.
Welcome back to North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Live coverage this afternoon of the Goodwrench 200 Busch Grand National Race. And our Speed World coverage is being brought to you this afternoon by Wrangler, American Hero Jeans. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. The top 10 at the end of 84 laps. Mark Martin, the leader. Tommy Houston running second. It's Rick Wilson third, followed by Ronald Cooper and Jack Ingram. Second 5, L.D. Ottinger, Dale Earnhardt, Tommy Ellis, Harry Gant, and Davey Allison. On the racetrack, the number 1 car of Mark Martin is actually third there in your picture, as Ron Barroso is still leading the field, and he is still technically on the lead lap, almost a lap down, and in 13th spot.
He may be third on the picture, but he's first in my heart, because let me tell you, he is going through those turns. He went by Dale Jarrett just a moment ago, Ned. It was amazing how well he got through that corner and passed Dale.
He really did. He moved just down on the inside of it, moved right around, as he's now about to do on Bobby Hillin Jr. The car is really working for him, and that's the key to getting around a 1-mile racetrack.
Particularly when, excuse me, Bob, but particularly when the racetrack is as slick as they're saying this racetrack is, and it looks like it is.
Mark Martin to the inside, passing the 81 car of Bobby Hillin Jr. Mark Martin is our leader in car number 1. Let's go to Jack Arute for an update.
Well, we checked with Mark Martin's crew, and basically what they say they're going to do is if there are no more cautions, which is highly unlikely, they will stay out. If there is another caution, though, they are going to come in only for fuel. They're real pleased so far with the way the car's handling and the way the tires are going. So they think they can gain a little bit of an advantage for that lack of so-called horsepower that you pointed out before by staying out there and only taking on fuel if a yellow comes.
Just a moment ago, we watched the one car go down in turn 1, and he went in as hard as he's been going in. The white car behind him, Bobby Helen, tried to follow in the corner. He almost ran into the wall up between 1 and 2 because his car just will not stick like Martin. See, watch how high that Bobby Helen's car is going in the racetrack. It just will not stick the way Martin's car is.
He was a little squirrely going through that first and second turn also, was Bobby Helen Jr., but this car seems to be handling to perfection. Mark Martin, car number 1, the leader of this race. The number 2 car, driven by L.D. Ottinger, also involved in this battle here, is the 28 car, Davey Allison, and there is Harry Gant in car number 7, and so Gant has now moved back up into the top 10 after being down a lap. Does that surprise you?
Harry knew that LD was going to come down the racetrack there because he just backed off and let him fill that hole between the Davey Allison automobile. That's Davey Allison in the black and white 28, LD Ottinger in the red, black and red number 2, and Harry Gant in the all-white number 7. And right in front of the green and white car is Greg Sachs. You know, LD Ottinger, his car is owned by a friend of mine, Ron Parker. And I met Ron about 7-8 years ago. He had never been to a race in his life. He now owns a race team.
Gets in your blood.
It does. I've ruined another one.
There is Allison and the 87 car of Greg Saxon. These guys are about a straightaway behind the leader. And there is Gant. Oh, and Gant and Sachs make contact coming out of corner number 4 as Harry moved up high on the racetrack and got pinned between the 87 car of Sachs and the outside wall. But all is well, and Harry picks up a spot. And we'll take another look at it, as it was a close call down there coming out of corner number 4.
Of course, Gant, the white car on the outside, Greg Sachs in the green car on the inside, and boy, he was against the wall, and Greg just pinned him right up there. Good piece of driving by Harry Gant and by Greg Sachs as well to pull out of it.
Now you asked me why I quit driving a race car.
Yeah, and you also commented, I think, during a break a while ago, or maybe it was during warm-ups this afternoon, about how it scares you to look at those guys down there on the track, but you don't have that feeling when you're down there driving.
No, I tell you, that you have to draw up when you see Harry get, because Greg Sachs didn't have any idea in the world that he was outside of it. And he's coming up against the outside retaining wall. Harry was close.
Well, Gant's running strong. He's picking up on Davey Allison right now. And
I don't think we can count Harry Gant out of this race yet.
No, he got the break that he needed, got back in the lead lap. As you can see, Rick Mast apparently giving it up for the day. That smoke continues, but here goes Harry Gant down on the inside. And boy, he makes it look easy.
Yes, he does. That Ed Whitaker car is working well. The Buick machine driven by Harry Gant, as he has picked up another spot, passing Davey Allison. And so Harry Gant's pursuit to the front is continuing.
No sponsor on that car this year. He's been sponsored by Skoll in the past, who sponsors him on the Winston Cup circuit, but they're looking for a sponsor.
Let's go to the pit area. Jerry Punch has a comment on the Harry Gant run.
Oh, it's interesting. You mentioned that he had a sponsor last year, and they won 5 times last year. 5 more than anybody else in the Busch Grand National competition. And yet it's so competitive here, they lost their sponsor. So what Ed Whitaker, the car owner, is trying to do is we need to win today. We need to have a good showing today on ESPN, so we just may be able to get a sponsor. And what I'm told is there are at least 3 sponsors waiting in the wings to see how Gant runs today. So Gant is driving like a man possessed. He needs to get that sponsor. He needs to get it in a hurry so they can run more events this year.
Gant in car number 7 and Davey Allison in car number 28, 6th and 7th position. Harry Gant's performance at the Daytona 300, the Goodies 300, he finished in 26th position.
I tell you what, Rob Moroso was in front of the Mark Martin automobile just a moment ago. We're not seeing that on the screen. There's Rob Moroso, and there's the leader, Mark Martin, in car number 1. But at the halfway point, Rob Moroso is able to stay in front of Mark Martin, and Mark can't gain on him. So there's another car that's not out of this thing if we can get a caution flag.
Yeah, he's still in the lead lap. He's currently running in 13th position. There are only 13 cars in the lead lap. It looks like now that Mark Martin might be gaining just a little bit on Rob Moroso, but Rob driving his heart out, trying to stay out there and hoping for a caution flag.
An unfortunate situation that resulted in Rob Moroso going almost a lap down. He is 7/8 of a lap down, perhaps we should say. But again, if we can get a caution period here, we'll be able to get right back into the thick of things. Rob Moroso, car number 25, was the pole sitter for this afternoon's race, qualifying at 144.918 miles an hour, just a little bit slower than the track record.
I see Kenny Schrader coming off turn 2 smoking quite badly, so he's got some type of problem. I wonder if Rob's father, Dick Moroso, called that pit stop just a few moments ago. I don't imagine Rob will have too much say to his father, do you?
Probably not. They made a mistake, whoever called it.
Moroso going to the outside of the 02 car down the backstretch. That's Dave Davis, driven by from Freeport, Massachusetts, one of those Busch Grand National North competitors. Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas, is leading the Goodwrench 200, and we'll be back to North Carolina Motor Speedway after this.
On your mark, get set, go. The race is on. The Seminole Ford's price-shattering pre-inventory clearance sale. Car, truck, and wagon bargains with 4.9 financing on selected models. Buys like this new 89 Festiva for $56.88. This new 88.5 Escort GT only $89.88. This new 89 Taurus going at $10,688. And this new 89 Mustang 5.0 going fast at $11,988. Get going to Seminole Ford's price-shattering pre-inventory clearance sale now. Seminole Ford, Highway 1792 at Lake Mary Boulevard, where a great deal is happening.
Discover why more people in this area are buying Buick. I'm Bill Lloyd of Lloyd Buick Cadillac BMW. Some dealers run gimmick advertising every day because they're searching for what works. But after nearly 60 years in business, we know what works. Price and service, not gimmicks. So if you've been shopping for a new car and haven't been able to get your price, come see us today. Because if you can't deal with us, you just can't deal. At Lloyd Buick Cadillac BMW, downtown Daytona Beach.
Beginning Sunday and continuing all month long, where can you find team-by-team Major League Baseball spring training reports?
You've got to turn on Sports Center on ESPN.
It's the hottest half hour of track talk. Join Bob Jenkins and Larry Newber for all the latest news and highlights on ESPN Speed Week. Friday nights at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Jack Road here on pit road where Mark Martin has come into the Rockingham pit road area and his engine is over. It looks as if they may have had a problem with the ignition. He is now getting out of the car, but he did not come in under his own power. A tough break for this man that was leading, and our new leader, lo and behold, is Rick Wilson, another Winston Cup competitor. Let's go back up to the tower.
Mark Martin led 52 of the 104 laps and then came into the pits and appears to be all over. Rick Wilson in car number 75 is now the leader of the race. And what's that do to Moroso, or does it do anything?
Well, it certainly gives him a little bit more breathing room right now because Mark Martin was breathing down his throat to put him the lap down. It also put Dale Jarrett back in the lead lap because Mark had lapped him, and now Jarrett is in front of Rick Wilson, so that helped that situation. Let's go to the pits, and Jack Arute has caught up with Mark Martin.
And Mark, it looks as if it was some sort of a problem with the ignition.
Yeah, the ignition went out. You know, that's racing. The Carolina Ford dealers. Thunderbird was running great. I wasn't even running hard, but last year we won this race with a slower car, with a fifth-place car. This year we had the fastest car and didn't win, so that's racing.
Hey, what about it, though? Very promising for the V6 and especially for the Ford V6.
It was fantastic. The car was just perfect. I mean, it handled good and ran good. It was easy.
Well, it might get a little bit easier later on in the year in the Busch Grand National Series for this guy because it looks as if the V6 is really going strong.
The number 1 Ford goes behind the wall, but Mark Martin will be in the number 6 Jack Roush prepared Stroh Light Ford tomorrow during the Winston Cup race. And here is Rick Wilson, and he has now pulled alongside of the number 52 car of Ken Schrader as they battle side by side. It was a close call up there, wasn't it, Vinny?
Lord have mercy. Poor Wayne Patterson slowed coming off the second corner, and he looked up and he had the whole world behind him, including Rick Wilson and Kenny Schrader in the 52 car.
But now look how close the competition is for the lead as the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt is in second spot, and right there on the back bumper on the 75 car driven by Rick Wilson. So Earnhardt may be making a bid for the lead here in just a moment. That's Ken Schrader in car number 52 to the inside of the racetrack. Not among those contesting the lead, but certainly Wilson and Earnhardt are.
Well, Earnhardt started back in the 10th position today, but he has worked his way. He worked his way up into the top 5. Then after making a pit stop for tires during that last caution, the car seems to be working a little bit better for him. So he is now working on the car number 75 of Rick Wilson.
And also a good battle going on involving the number 11 of Jack Ingram, the 7 car of Harry Gant, and the 6 machine of Tommy Houston. And Tommy Houston is quite a story. Remember, he was responsible for one of our early cautions and Spud did not lose a lap, however, and now finds himself in 5th spot.
I'll tell you what, it is really getting exciting now. Rick Wilson in the 75 car leader, we're seeing right now the 11 Jack Ingram. There, we see he just can't run high. Just can't run high on the racetrack. Earnhardt alongside of him, making a bid for the lead. But if he gets Wilson up high on the racetrack, Rick just doesn't seem to be able to handle up there like he needs to. Look at this, side by side.
Down the backstretch, it's Earnhardt on the inside and Rick Wilson on the outside. Into turn number 3, they're still wheel to wheel. And now Rick Wilson is up high on the racetrack, but he's hanging right in there as he is unable to, will not relinquish that lead from, Dale Earnhardt.
Well, I said that Rick Wilson doesn't run that well high. Unfortunately for Dale Earnhardt, that's the only place he can run very good.
I'm telling you, they got close down there going into 1. I think they may have even rubbed a little bit.
I tell you what, this is Rick Wilson. He's determined he's going to show everybody he's a race car driver. And he did. He stuck in there, and he still has the lead. Dale Earnhardt. Don't you know Archie Long with Goodwrench, the general manager of Goodwrench? He's having a big day right now with Earnhardt running as well as he is.
And now you can see that Rick Wilson has been able to separate himself by a couple of car lengths from Dale Earnhardt. And now here comes Harry Gant.
Yeah, he has moved up into 3rd place now, has moved around Jack Ingram, and is gaining on those front 2 cars. So we're going to have a 3-way battle for the lead here very shortly.
There's the interval between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And now Dale Earnhardt once again challenges Rick Wilson for the lead. Earnhardt to the inside of the track in corner number 1, pulling alongside. Rick Wilson takes the high line once again. Earnhardt trying to wrestle that top spot away. They come out of 2, and Earnhardt is a little bit squirrely. And now Wilson still holds off the challenge.
Folks, they're running 150 miles an hour down the backstretch. Right now, they're running about 110, 120 miles per hour, and they're hitting bumps. I mean, this is not play. This is serious stuff.
What's it like to run wheel to wheel like this with Dale Earnhardt?
Well, it's got to be exciting. There, Tommy Houston loses an engine going down in turn 1. But look at them. They're still side by side. Neither one will give up. Earnhardt so persistent.
Just a tremendous battle for the lead. Now Earnhardt pulls ahead by about a half a car length, but Rick Wilson comes right back. And look at the white car on the outside of the racetrack. Harry Gant has moved into 3rd position, and not only that, he is in a position to challenge for the lead. It's been a great day for Harry Gant. Despite the fact that he lost a lap earlier, he is right up there in the thick of things.
Well, we mentioned that Tommy Houston appeared to lose an engine, but he's still out there running as Davey Allison comes into the pits. Houston, a lot of smoke from his car a lap ago, but now he's okay. Here comes Earnhardt again.
Dale Earnhardt once again low. Oh, squirrely a little bit in turn number 4. Saves it, however, and Harry Gant looks to take over 2nd position. And now he challenges Earnhardt going into 1. Harry Gant has 2nd spot. Earnhardt is back to 3rd. Gant now sets his sights on Rick Wilson.
Harry Gant, he just dominated the Busch Grand National circuit last year. The races that he ran, he won, I guess, the majority of the races that he did run. There we see Davey Allison in the pits. He looks like he's got a major problem. Now, Harry's on the inside of Rick Wilson now. Let's see if he can make it stick. Earnhardt couldn't.
As a matter of fact, Harry Gant started 15 Busch Grand National races last year, and he won 5 of them, a pretty good percentage. Here he is challenging Rick Wilson now. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd right here, fans.
But that racetrack is slick down on the inside, and he just couldn't get the traction he needed.
And Earnhardt pulled up on the outside of him, and I don't think Harry was expecting that. Look how much distance he lost to Rick Wilson, because Earnhardt got him by surprise, pulling up on the outside and coming off the 2nd corner.
The red and white car 52 is also hanging in there with this group. However, he is a lap down. That is Ken Schrader. We're concentrating on the 75 of Wilson, the 7 of Gant, and the 3 of Dale Earnhardt, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
They ought to make the spectators go back out and come back in, because they've already got their money's worth.
Well, here's Earnhardt trying to move down on the inside, but I don't know. I said earlier in the race that the inside was the place to be, but now I don't think it is. I think that groove has gotten so slick down there that it's tough to get traction.
You might be exactly right, because we've seen Rick Wilson. He's up in the middle part of the racetrack and able to hold these fellas off.
Davey Allison has gone behind the wall, and it may be all over for the son of Bobby. Davey Allison, one of those that will also be competing tomorrow in the Winston Cup race. And now here comes Earnhardt, challenging Harry Gant again for second spot. Earnhardt and Gant side by side. Rick Wilson hangs on to the lead. Good battle for second.
Is he going to be able to make it stick down on the inside, especially in turns 1 and 2? That track must be very slick down on the inside because he just couldn't get traction.
Here, there's on the inside again down in turn 3. He might be able to make it stick in this corner.
Let's see. He's alongside Wilson. We'll see how it comes out of turn number 4. And Gant maybe with the... Nope, I think Wilson had him by about a bumper going across the line. But man, oh man, what a tremendous race going on here. 3 Winston Cup veterans are going at it, and this slower car, number 45 of Patty Louise, could play a very big role here.
Yes, it could. She's going to get caught up in some very heavy racing.
3 of them.
Oh, surely they don't hold that.
3. Come on, Earnhardt, get in there.
Let's see how this shakes out as they approach Patty Louise.
No. Benny, would you say that if you were in the middle lane? Would you say, come on, Benny, put her up in there?
No. I'm watching now, and I'm excited.
Well, here's Gant now trying to take the lead down on the inside as they move in on Patty Louise. Will she play it hard, though? Will he be able to get around before he gets to her?
Oh, he just said, okay, I'm going up there.
Patty drops to the low side of the racetrack, and here come the top 3. It is now Gant with the lead. Earnhardt is running second, and Rick Wilson is third.
And coming into the screen back there is the maroon and white number 11 of Jack Ingram, who is running fourth while they were doing all that battling up front. He has caught up to them. So Jack Ingram, the former 5-time national champion of this division, not out of it.
There he is in car number 11. Jack Ingram has moved up into 4th position. Well, some great racing is going on. We hope you'll stick around for the conclusion of it. We're at Rockingham, North Carolina for the Goodwrench 200.
Customers come in with a project, we help them find everything they need to get the job done right the first time.
Come in and save during our sale on Coast 25-foot measuring tape with locking blade and belt clip, only $4.88. And save on Black & Decker's cordless screwdriver with lock for manual use and 3-position switch, only $16.99 at your local Coast to Coast and Home and Auto stores.
Home and Auto.
Couples for the love set, the island set, the smart set, the dive set, and the matched set. An all-inclusive freedom holiday from Super Clubs Jamaica.
Showtime is blowing away the competition. Showtime's box office blowout includes hits like 3 Men and a Baby, Good Morning Vietnam. You won't see those on HBO. Showtime exclusives. Here you see them, there you don't.
We are back at the Rock, North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. We're glad you could join us on this Saturday afternoon for live Busch Grand National racing. And it's been an exciting race so far, and we've got several more laps to go. Now, here have been the lap leaders. Rob Moroso was the first leader, then Harry Gant. Mark Martin has also led, so has Rick Wilson, and Dale Earnhardt has also led some laps. Out of the race, Dave Simpson in car 38, then Brandon Baker, Steve Grissom, both involved in an incident down between turns 1 and 2. Jamie Albee, one of the Busch Grand National North drivers, is out. Kenny Wallace, Ken Bouchard, Mark Martin, Davey Allison, and Rick Mast have also gone behind the wall and are out of competition. Now, Harry Gant is the leader of the race with 131 laps to go. Jerry Punch, what have you learned regarding Harry Gant's pit strategy for the remainder of the race?
Well, gentlemen, if you remember back last spring, we were in this race, and Harry Gant was leading, but he ran out of gas with 4 laps to go. Now, Gant last pitted on lap 78. That would give him 120 laps to the conclusion of this event. They figure they could possibly run maybe 116 laps. That would put him out of gas again with 4 laps to go. Talk about deja vu for Harry Gant. Well, they may have to try to wing it. They have to gamble and go all the way. Let's go up pit road to Jack Carew.
Well, we talk about Dale Jarrett, who started on the outside. It seems as if he's only going to have bad luck. He had a left rear tire go soft on him, and while they made the exchange, The stud broke. It cost him an additional 35 seconds on pit road and literally put him out of the contest today. Back to you.
The car 75 of Rick Wilson is coming down pit road. Looks like he was smoking coming down the front straightaway just a moment ago, and it looks like he may have an engine problem. Yes, he takes it behind the wall.
So Rick Wilson, who had led this race and was running in third position, now he goes behind the wall and calls it quits for the afternoon. Rick Wilson will be back for tomorrow's Winston Cup race. Maybe that's a result of just racing so hard with Earnhardt and Gant just a few laps ago. There's Rick Wilson from Bartow, Florida, driving the Food Country number 75 car. Jerry Punch, we can see. Go ahead, Jerry. Hello. Go ahead.
Rick Wilson still sitting in the car here, trying to get unbuckled and trying to get some comments after a great run here in the car. And we'll try to get Rick in and see if we can get a comment from him as he's trying to get unbuckled and get all the gear off so he can hear us in just a moment.
Back to you in just a moment, Jerry, when Rick completes his debriefing to the pit crew. There you can see first and second, the number 7 car of Harry Gant leading, and the 3 car of Dale Earnhardt. Now moving into third position would be Tommy Houston, and fourth is Jack Ingram, and running in 5th position would be the number 99 car of Tommy Ellis. Now let's go to Jerry with Rick Wilson.
Well, Rick, you had a great run going out there. What happened to you?
Well, I don't know. I think, we burned a piston or something like that. But, car run great. The Food Country Oldsmobile done a good job. The crew done a good job. I was getting a little bit loose there, but wasn't nothing to worry about. So I just let them go because there wasn't no need to fight them off. And I was just going to cool my tires and go again. So we still had a little bit to go in the race. So I was just going to see what was happening. Started missing and smoking.
Harry Gant looks awfully strong now. With you out of it, can Earnhardt handle Gant possibly?
I don't know. Harry's awful strong, especially when he get a free lane in front of him, he can run a little bit high. That's the deal. When I was on the outside of him, I could really run up there, and that's what you got to do right now. So we just can't make the car stick on the bottom. But, Earnhardt's a hard charger. He'll be there, but I think Harry can handle him.
Well, it ain't over yet, as they say. Let's go up pit road to Jackaroo.
Well, Jerry Punch, not only inside the race car does Harry Gant have a 4 on the floor, but when he gets out of the race car as well. You remember he was injured so badly last year, and he had a problem with his leg. Well, throughout the day and throughout practice, when he gets out of the car, he has to use these crutches to get around. Doesn't seem to hinder him except when he has both feet planted on the ground and not one on the brake and one on the gas pedal. Because when he has it in the gas pedal, he is just playing flat out, and he leads it today. We'll be giving you more of the great action, and it is fantastic here at Rockingham for the Goodwrench 200. But first, we have to break for these messages. Don't go away.
The fastest growing name in auto parts today. Pronto, featuring quality Michigan 77 engine bearings and McCord engine gaskets. Michigan 77 and McCord, proud sponsors of the NASCAR Engine Builder of the Year Award, congratulate David Evans for a job well done and winning the 1988 Engine Builder of the Year Award. The same track-tested, proven performance goes into the Michigan engine bearings and McCord gaskets you buy for your car.
When you need to know about auto parts, ask the pro at Pronto.
95,000 miles and no problems.
Because Quaker State exceeds every single car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Gentlemen, start your engines. ESPN's NASCAR season begins with the Goodwrench 500. Sunday afternoon at noon Eastern, live on ESPN.
Taylorsville, North Carolina's Harry Gant is leading the Goodwrench 200 here at North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. We have completed 142 laps. Harry Gant has 9 wins in Busch Grand National competition, and his most recent win was at Martinsville last October. But he did win the race here last year in October.
There's Bobby Hillen down on the inside. Hillen made a pit stop just a few laps ago and changed tires, and that's one reason he's able to run faster through the corner than Harry Gant. In about 10 or 15 laps, that advantage will go away for Bobby Hillen, and I expect Harry Gant probably to repass him. But right now, Hillen is a better car.
The number 25 car, Rob Moroso, is on the lead lap, and the car is running strong, but he's going to have a caution flag, it appears to me, to really get back into a competitive situation.
Yeah, I think he might be running a little faster than any other car on the racetrack, but he was almost a lap down. He's pulled away from those front runners, but he's still has a long way to go to catch up to them.
This shows you, we saw Bobby Hillin pass Harry Gant, the race leader. This goes to show you how important the tires are at this racetrack and most every racetrack that we run on the circuit as we watch Robbie Moroso go around the racetrack.
Well, Robbie has certainly been driving hard since that caution, the miscue that they made in the pits by coming in too early. Almost got a lap down, but he's in the lead lap right now, showing in the 9th position. So he has picked off a couple of positions. He was in 13th place then, so he's moved up to 9th now. Of course, attrition is part of that, but he has passed Ronald Cooper, put a lap on him. So he's really moving.
And he's only 20 years old, but certainly showing his ability as a race driver. How does it feel competing against and doing well against some of the proven veterans in racing?
That feels real good, you know, because one, we're on the pole here, you know, and that's a good thing because we already beat them in the qualifying battle. Now we got to go out and have a war, you know, and stuff. I really enjoy it, you know, because my goal is to go win some Cup. And with all the Winston Cup drivers in there, you know, if I can't beat them in my game, there's no way I can move up to Winston Cup and try to beat them. So it's real good for me because I get experience running against them, learn each driver's different characteristics. And I'd rather be out there with an excellent driver than a not so excellent driver.
I think you would have to categorize him, if not an excellent driver, a very, very close to that. Rob Moroso just has a great future ahead of him in NASCAR stock car racing. There he is racing with the number 81 car driven by Bobby Hillin Jr. Now, Harry Gant in car number 7, and there he is. You can see that he is closing in on Rob Moroso, so it appears as if this isn't going to be the Rob Moroso day, but Harry Gant is in command of this race. Behind him in the number 3 car is Dale Earnhardt, and that's how they run at the moment, with now the number 11 car of Jack Ingram running in 3rd spot as Tommy Houston has come in for a pit stop. We'll be back with more right after this.
The Earnhardt's gaining, boys.
Even using them in your left hand, these new Wiss offset snips will give you twice the leverage of ordinary snips in your right hand. And because of their offset blade design, give you more control by actually pushing the metal out of your way. So more of your energy goes to work instead of going to waste. Wiss offset snips from Cooper Tools. The difference between work and workmanship.
To some, it's routine maintenance. To others, it's an act of love. If you truly appreciate fine machinery, you protect it with Purolator filters.
Life's full of simple pleasures, like the comfort of Levi's jeans. Or had you forgotten?
Back at Rockingham, and Benny Parsons, your suggestion just as we were going to break about Dale Earnhardt closing in on Harry Gant is absolutely accurate. He's now within 3 or 4 car lengths, running in second position. You know, the last time I saw this number 3 car, it was tumbling across my line of vision at Daytona. We were sitting down in our Speed Week motorhome looking at the area there between the tri-oval and turn number 1, and the number 3 car came tumbling through our line of sight, hitting the wall and overturning, but it's running very well now. And here's also some great competition as the number 11 car of Jack Ingram is running in 3rd position, and now the number 99 car, I believe, of Tommy Ellis has taken over that spot.
Yeah, Jack Ingram has a problem. He's about to come into the pits. He had moved up into 3rd position, running a very good race, but we see him now coming down pit road. Could be a flat tire. Let's go to Jackaroo in his pits.
And indeed, that is what the problem is. They've come onto pit road. Ricky Pearson stops the car, and they go to work on the right side. Ingram radioed in that he had a problem with right side tires. He thought one was going soft. So they're going to have to make the exchange, and that'll be costly. Very soft. 10 seconds, well past into 14 and 15 seconds now for this stop. They take on the fuel, they drop the jack, and the leaders are on the back stretch, but he's out in 17 seconds. A good stop, but awfully costly. Back up to you.
Well, of course, he'd go a lap down in that exchange, Jack, and too bad for Jack Ingram, former national champion.
Okay, guys, hang on. We fixed to see some exciting racing again. Harry Gant has caught Rob Moroso and Dale Earnhardt. Rob Moroso wants to stay in the lead lap. Earnhardt wants to get by Harry Gant to take over the lead. We are going to see something exciting.
Let's watch Harry Gant to see if he can put a lap on Rob Moroso. Well, while we're watching that, Jerry Punch has a comment on the fact that I was mentioning a few minutes ago, and that was Dale's horrible practice crash at Daytona in a Busch Grand National car. Jerry?
Well, Bob, his $70,000 race car was totally destroyed, and that car could not be rebuilt, and they're trying to put it back together at home. As Earnhardt now takes the lead here in Rockingham, with the car he's driving here today is a short track car that he purchased from Larry Pearson, two-time Busch Grand National champion. And now Earnhardt trying to negotiate heavy traffic much like a short track, and that's where this car came from. In fact, this car won on ESPN last year at Bristol, Tennessee with Larry Pearson aboard. So Earnhardt has got to be very pleased with the way this car is running, given it's a short track car, not geared for speedway competition.
I was right, wasn't I, Bob? Look at him go at it. Harry Gant lost the lead in this deal.
Dale Earnhardt now leads the Goodwrench 200, and Harry Gant is back to second. It happened in heavy traffic.
Okay, Earnhardt following Gant into the turn as they were following Rob Moroso. Gant went high, he had to brake, and he went high. Earnhardt took advantage, dipped down on the inside, and took the lead.
Now we've got another lead change. Harry Gant is retaking the lead, and he's on the outside of Rob Moroso. Moroso don't want to give it up. We're going to be 3 abreast. Watch this. Resendiz in the front. No, maybe not. Maybe I lied.
Well, it's going to be 2 abreast, that's for sure. There's Gant moving high on the high side of Resendiz. And here comes Dale Earnhardt. He's going to be the meat in the sandwich, shall we say, coming off 4. But Gant holds on.
So they finally put Rob Moroso, the pole sitter, a lap down. Now look, Earnhardt's going to try on the inside of Harry Gant, side by side.
It looks as if Harry Gant may have a right rear going down or blistering, because that car is sliding high on the racetrack. It goes into the corners.
Yes, he is going very high. Here, Earnhardt jumps up on him as they go into the turns. Harry has a lot of horsepower down the straightaways. That Jim Ruggles built V6 engine doing the job here down the straightaways, but it does look like the car is still handling as it goes into the turns. Here's Earnhardt following him this time in the high groove down in turns 1 and 2.
Harry Gant's going in very high, going through the corners very, very high, like the car is extremely loose. But Earnhardt's running up there as well, so maybe that's just as good as they can run at this point. Here, Earnhardt on the bottom again. Give us some traffic so we can have 3 abreast. This is getting boring, 2 abreast.
We've got about 34 more laps to go, and it is anybody's race. Harry Gant and Dale Earnhardt are having a shootout here at Rockingham.
They're having a great time out there. They're really enjoying this, although, as Benny says, it's very serious. Here's Earnhardt trying to go on the inside, follow the car of Elton Sawyer, car number 42. Let's see if he'll get him this time, using that car to draft a little bit on. Able to pull alongside, but Gant with the horsepower down the straightaway, pulls back out front.
Well, the information we're getting in eavesdropping on some conversation between Gant and the pit crew. Yes, there is indeed a problem with the right rear of the car, but the pit crew is saying, hold on as long as you can.
Looks to me like he's he's holding on about as good as he can right now because he's got his hands full. Here comes Earnhardt just one more time.
Slipped a little bit there, and as these two battle for the lead, Tommy Ellis has moved up into third place, and let's give a call to Bobby Labonte, who has moved into fourth place. He's the younger brother of Terry Labonte, Western Cup driver, and Earnhardt making the move.
Earnhardt grabs the lead back momentarily, but here comes Gant again back on the outside down the backstretch, and Harry regains the lead.
Was that a tire mark up on the left front fender of Harry Gant's car from right in front of the 7? Looks like a tire mark there, where he and Earnhardt might have gotten together up in turns 1 and 2.
Well, that normally is an all-white car of Harry Gant's, but he's got some black on it from Earnhardt and some blue on it from Rick Wilson as the war has gone on this afternoon.
And of course, he had a little green on it from Greg Sachs a little bit earlier in the race when he got pinched into the wall, so he's been in some thick battles. But he's a warrior.
Yes, he is. He'll stay right in there to the bitter end.
Rob Moroso still in the picture trying to get his lap back.
Now watch this. Now they are 3 abreast. We got it now.
Well, let's see if they can make it into that first turn. No, Robbie's got better sense than that. He'll back off.
Earnhardt went high there in turn number 4. Not his normal line.
He did one little higher up in 3 and 4, but got a good grip up there and turned underneath Harry Gant. But unfortunately, Rob Moroso was there. He just turned a little more, and it was literally, at a moment, literally 3 abreast. There Moroso is on the inside, the 25 car, the red and white car. He's going to try it again.
And he's just trying to get the lap back. Don't forget that he has already dropped a lap down in the competition, but would like to stay in the lead lap. He's on the low side of Gant and Earnhardt.
Well, he's making the low groove work for him right now. Well, maybe. He's got a little loose there, but he's still hanging right in there.
Busch Grand National competition at its best at Rockingham, North Carolina. And now, once again, 3 abreast, and Earnhardt and Robbie Moroso may have touched there coming off of 4. And Gant pulled off the lead as Moroso and Gant still battle side by side.
Well, I don't think we're going to make the people leave. We're going to charge them another $10 as they leave after the race is over.
Well, right behind them in the white car, they just lapped him a moment ago, is Elton Sawyer. Very good race here today from down in the Tidewater area of Virginia. You can see him coming up on Rob Moroso there. They're battling for position. They're in the top 10. Both of those drivers running very well here today.
Well, you know, the tires were worn on these 2 cars, the 3 car of Dale Earnhardt. He's got it this time. Harry Gant's white number 7. The tires are worn, and they've slowed down a 1.5 seconds. But you see how exciting it is, even at that speed, at 140. This is an exciting sport. They don't have to run 150 for it to be exciting.
Will it be Dale Earnhardt, or will it be Harry Gant, or will it be somebody else that comes out on top of this race? Let's go to the pit area and a comment on the Harry Gant car.
It's been a very animated radio conversation between Harry Gant and his crew. The reason is, as we said, the right rear tire, he says it is totally blistered. And Benny, you're right. They're out of tires on the right side. Everybody's waiting for a caution right now. Back to you.
And Gant is really loose out there. He almost lost it going into 1, and he has trouble coming out of corner number 2. So Dale Earnhardt now has the lead to the Goodwrench 200, and Harry Gant runs second.
My Central Florida Olds dealer gave me these international driving glasses free, just for test driving an Olds. I chose the limited edition Supreme Daytona 500. Fog lights, spoiler, ground effects, even an optional sunroof. International driving glasses, free, just for a test drive. This is not my daddy's Oldsmobile. And this is definitely not my daddy.
This is the new generation of Olds.
Ma'am, so what do you think of Wendy's new chicken parmesan sandwich?
Autentico, la mia ricetta.
Mama says it tastes like hers, too much like hers.
Chi ha rubato la mia ricetta?
No, Mama, nobody stole your recipe.
No, è mia sorella Antonetta.
It wasn't your sister Antonetta. When are you going to stop like
For real Italian taste, try the new chicken parmesan sandwich now at Wendy's. Whole chicken breast filet, real mozzarella, and a rich tomato sauce. It's here now, but only for a limited time.
When are you going to put it to rest? She didn't sell your recipe to nobody, Mama.
We hope you're enjoying today's coverage of the Goodwrench 200 Busch Grand National Race. We're live at North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. And our Speed World coverage is being brought to you this afternoon by Purolator, the first name in filters. Exceptional protection for exceptional vehicles like yours. By your local coast-to-coast Total Hardware and coast-to-coast home and auto stores. And by Anco, premium wiper blades with superior wipe quality. Clearly the leader. A lot going on here in Rockingham as Dale Earnhardt has come in for a pit stop, but we are under caution. He was the first to come in, however.
There was a car that spun. It looks like Greg Sachs spun coming off of turn 4. As I don't know if he was trying to come into the pits, but anyway, he spun, and Dale Earnhardt dived into the pits. Rob Moroso got back in the lead lap as a result of it. Let's go to the pits and Jackaroo.
Well, net a fortuitous yellow flag for Harry Gant. We've documented the blistered right rear tire for him. What great pit work by Ed Whitaker and the crew when they said, hang on, stay out there. He battled Dale Earnhardt. Now, under caution, they've been able to come in, exchange that blistered right rear tire, and he's back out, and he's in the hunt, despite the fact that Earnhardt's out front. Back to you.
You better believe he's in the hunt. Now, here is a replay of what has brought out the caution flag. Watch the green number 87.
Of Greg Sachs trying to move on the outside of a car, and he just loses control. And look at Jack Ingram, a good move by him in the car number 11 as Greg moves down, hits the inside retaining wall, bounces into it once again, but stays down on the inside of the racetrack, out of the way of the other cars coming on.
Well, it was a perfectly timed caution for Harry Gant and for Rob Moroso. Gant now has that right rear problem corrected, and Rob Moroso is going to be back in the thick of things. Rob Moroso is coming into the pits right now as the Greg Sachs cleanup continues in turn 4. There's Moroso's pit stop. They're changing rubber on the right side of that car. He's going to have fresh shoes on that car and enough fuel to go the distance. So what we are set up for here could be a real battle to the end with everybody on fresh rubber and at least 3 or 4 cars that are capable of winning this race. Rob Moroso's service is completed. He goes back out onto the racetrack as we continue to be under caution at Rockingham with 177 laps to go. Back with more right after this.
We started 5 cars with one 2-year-old Die-Hard battery and 1 car at 30 below after 8 hours in a cold room. Today's Die-Hard with power to start your car and a whole lot more.
When he's working, when his work is done, a man wants a jean he can feel comfortable in. American Hero Jeans from Wrangler.
When customers come in with a project, we help them find everything they need to get the job done right the first time.
Come in and save during our sale on Coast 25-foot measuring tape with locking blade and belt clip, only $4.88. And save on Black & Decker's cordless screwdriver with lock for manual use and 3-position switch, only $16.99 at your local Coast to Coast and Home and Auto stores.
Coast to Coast Home and Auto. ESPN opens the door on NCAA basketball, slam-jammed with color and excitement. See a parade of outstanding players in sparkling displays every night. March Madness begins with an ESPN tradition. Championship Week, 62 teams, 31 games, 23 conference championships, the best basketball of the season. The color and excitement of Championship Week continues tonight, live on ESPN.
With 19 laps to go, here are the top 5. Dale Earnhardt, the leader. Harry Gant, 2nd. Bobby Labonte is 3rd. Tommy Ellis, 4th. And Rob Moroso is 5th. Harry Gant's tire problem has been corrected. Here's Jackaroo.
And let's show you exactly what the problem was. Now, this is the right front tire off of Harry Gant's car. Do you see these little marks here? This is where the Goodyear tire engineers actually measure the tire wear. Well, you can still put your fingernail down in there. Now, here is the right rear. I can't find any of those marks, guys. This tire is used up. Benny, you might be interested in this one later. Maybe you could use it somewhere back on your tractor in Ellerby. But for more on some good tire wear, let's go to my colleague, Jerry Punch. Jerry?
Well, a difference in chassis setup makes a big difference on the racetrack. This is the Dale Earnhardt tire, the right rear tire off Earnhardt. Now, you saw Gant's tire where the rubber was completely eroded away. This one almost completely about half used up, at 101 laps on this right rear tire, so a good setup for Earnhardt. The car running very well. It may translate into a victory for the Goodwrench Chevrolet. Gentlemen?
All right.
That's great work. That was super work by Jack and Jerry. You know, when we talk about pushing and loose, sometime Ned and I, or maybe even Jack and Jerry and yourself, will talk about the car pushing or the car loose. When the right rear tire is worn out, like Harry Gant's tire, that means the car was extremely loose. In other words, the rear end trying to spin out all the time. If the right front was wore out, then the car would be pushing excessively or trying to go towards the wall. What you really want is both the front and the rear tires wearing even.
Expert analysis from Benny Parsons, who's joining us on all of our auto racing telecasts this year. And coming up next here on ESPN, some great college basketball as North Carolina State will be taking on Wake Forest, as we have an extensive amount of basketball to cover for you here on ESPN in the next couple of weeks.
Go Wolfpack!
Who's going to win this thing? Ned, you first.
You know, I'm going to say that Harry Gant's going to come back and win this thing.
Okay, Benny?
Well, yeah, I'll have to go with Harry Gant.
Okay, Jackaroot.
I've got to go with Harry Gant. I'm stuck in his pits here. How about you, Jerry? What do you think?
Hey, remember, Gant told the crew that he's undefeated on ESPN in this race car. He won at Darlington and Rockingham a year ago. My vote goes for Gant, too.
All right, so those are the predictions of our experts as we get set to take the green flag.
Well, how about yours?
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You trying to get out of this thing?
All right, I'll pick Dale Earnhardt. You guys think you're so smart. Okay. Everybody pick Gant except me, and I'll go with Dale Earnhardt. So we'll see which one is going to be the winner here. We got 5 cars on the lead lap and 182 laps completed. The green flag back out. We're back to racing.
Well, Earnhardt has the advantage right now.
Oh, Dale's got a problem. He got a flat right front tire and went straight up to the wall on that restart. Tough break.
Dale Jarrett, car sliding high on the racetrack, and he avoided hitting the wall, but the car headed right that direction.
He has already had 2 unscheduled pit stops for flat tires today, and now he's coming back in for a third.
Harry Gant running in second spot. Third is the 44 of Terry Labonte in a great performance. That's Gant running on the high side of Tommy Houston. And here comes Dale Jarrett into the pits. Great hopes from Dale as we went into this race. He had qualified second quickest, had something to prove because of the incident at Daytona a few weeks ago, but it was not a good day for Dale. He will be one of those competing tomorrow afternoon at noon in the Goodwrench 500 Winston Cup race.
Able to get just a little bit of advantage on Harry Gant the first couple of laps after this restart. I think they'll probably run 4 or 5 laps pretty evenly, and we'll see who is going to be the dominant car.
Back in the pack, meanwhile, we pick up on the number 99 and 25 cars. The 34 car is not in the battle for position, but the 99 car of Tommy Ellis and the 25 of Rob Moroso are battling for position, and they're going for 4th.
It's hard to see the 99 car on Tommy Ellis's car because it's so covered up in goo-goo,
but I'll tell you, that's good candy. You gotta admit that. And Rob Moroso in the Swisher Sweets car. So this is a 4th and 5th. 99 of Ellis in the 25 car of Moroso. First and second here, Earnhardt in 3, and Gant in 7, and Gant is smoking.
There is some smoke. I thought a couple of laps ago, but I thought maybe it was some dust, but that time undeniably some smoke out of the back of Harry Gant's car.
Shouldn't be tire smoke, should it, Ned?
Well, I don't know. If his back end is as loose as it appeared, wearing that right rear tire out, it could be that it would have been.
Oh, Earnhardt almost got it sideways off 4, gave Harry the advantage. He's alongside. Ooh.
Can't led that lap, but just by about a bumper. Look at this. Battling back is Dale Earnhardt. Oh, they touch. They touch.
There's some debris.
Oh, yeah. There's some damage on the left side of Earnhardt's car. Is it going to affect the tire, maybe?
I don't know. It doesn't look like there's smoke coming from it. So just a little piece of bumper or something came off, or the aluminum between the bumper and the sheet metal of the car. Let's watch it again as he made the pass down on the inside. Gant in the white number 7, Earnhardt in the black number 3, hugs down close to Gant. But Gant with the inside groove as they start off of the turn, he just accelerates. The right rear of Gant's car touches the left front of Earnhardt's car.
What great camera. Did you see the left front tire stop? Yeah. On our camera, when Earnhardt hit the brakes, the tire stopped.
So
Look
now,
at the smoke. Look at all that smoke out of Harry's car coming off the front.
Less than 10 laps to go, and I don't know whether that smoke is from anything but from an engine problem, because it appears to be rather prominent. Let's go to Jackaroot.
Bob, if we don't have enough drama already down here. Listen to this one. The crew is telling NASCAR that the smoke coming off of Harry Gant's car is from the right rear tire. They're just smoking the tires. But NASCAR's saying we're going to look at it because we don't think that it may be that. And, you know, NASCAR's real concerned about safety, so this isn't over yet. Let's go back to you.
They will indeed take a very close look at that car. If they determine that there is some oil dropping from that car, they will black flag it. And there you see the conversation going on between the NASCAR officials and the Gant pit.
Well, Rob Moroso is putting himself in position here. He's moved up into third now, moving around Tommy Ellis, who is running fourth, and now Rob Moroso, you see him come into the picture back there. He is gaining on Dale Earnhardt.
So we have seen two drivers laps down, get their lap back, and now running in the top third. Harry Gant lost a lap, so did Rob Moroso, or at least Rob came very close to losing a lap, but now right there in the thick of things. But I'll tell you, Harry Gant, despite that smoke, whether it be from the engine or from a tire, appears to me to have this race in hand, and I may have to change my prediction here, but that car is...
No. You're hung with Dale Earnhardt.
And I'm not sure Dale's going to finish second, because here comes Rob Moroso to challenge him for that spot. Moroso moving to the inside of Dale, coming out of corner number 2. They'll race down the backstretch. Moroso's on the inside at 25. Earnhardt outside car number 3. And Moroso has him, but here comes Earnhardt back. Side-by-side competition. Moroso now passes Dale Earnhardt and takes second.
Woo! Look at Earnhardt working those hands inside that car. We see some good camera work by our ESPN crew. We see Earnhardt sawing that wheel coming off the corner.
5 laps to go when they came around the last time, and here comes Tommy Ellis trying to move up on Dale Earnhardt.
That's right. Those 3 cars there are second, third, and fourth. Moroso, then Dale Earnhardt, and the 99 of Tommy Ellis, while Gant leads the competition. Less than 4 laps to go now as Harry Gant. And the black flag is being displayed to Gant. Jack Caruth.
That's indeed what they're doing, Bob. NASCAR has determined that it is not tire smoke. They're going to bring him in, and it'll be a mandatory consultation here on pit road. A tough break for Harry Gant and crew.
Well, now let's wait a second, fellas. You have, what, Vinny, 3 or 4 laps that you can go without before you... 4 laps, I think it is. This race will be over by then, so Harry Gant can stay out there, I believe, and not violate the black flag rule.
Well,
I don't know.
He's staying
if I
out
was
there.
Harry Gant, I certainly wouldn't stop. I'd argue about this for the rest of the night, but look.
If they were to bring that car in and find no oil whatsoever on it, and Gant were to lose the race because of that, it would be a very unfortunate situation. Now, coming down, here is lap number 195. Now, again, let's explain that. When you're given the black flag, you've got 4 laps to come in. Is that right?
That's right. You have 4 laps to heed the black flag before you come in. After that, they pull the scorecard and stop scoring the car.
But they gave him the black flag with 4 laps to go. So he's going to stay out there, apparently, as we watch this battle for 3rd position. Now, the white flag is coming out this time around for Harry Gant in car number 7.
Yeah, but also the cross flag is coming out. That means he's disqualified.
It's 3 laps. I think the rule is 3 laps. And, oh, no.
Look at this now. With Gant out of the picture, apparently that's the situation. Rob Moroso, it appears, is going to win this race. We're watching the battle for second between Tommy Ellis and Dale Earnhardt. This is the battle for second with Harry Gant eliminated from the race because of the black flag. Here they come down off of corner number 4. Rob Moroso is going to win the Goodwrench 200. The battle for second. No, it's won by Dale Earnhardt, I believe.
I think it was by a foot or so. I can't believe that Harry Gant lost his race. Rob Moroso on the pole and won the race, but what a tough break for Harry Gant.
This is the 12th Busch Grand National race here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, and now 7 drivers have won from the pole. So that's a good position to start in here, it looks like, for this particular race.
And for Rob Moroso, it is his 2nd win in Busch Grand National competition. He was the youngest driver to ever win in Busch Grand National competition. And now he comes into the pit area and will pull into victory lane for the 2nd time in his career. Looked bad for him as he almost went a lap down, but he fought back gallantly and wins the race. And all of our predictions are out the window. Gant and Earnhardt, neither one of them won. Rob Moroso did. We'll be right back.
Trash bags? Oh, there's brown ones. There's silver ones. Want to know any more? Ask Ace. That's what I do. Ace large drawstring trash bags are only $1.97, and Simple Green all-purpose cleaner is just $3.19.
Hey, Ace is the place for me.
In the village of Upper Nyack, the firemen fight fires with ladders and hoses. And a Murata fax machine. It's used to receive floor plans and detailed drawings of buildings so they can plan how to attack the fire before they get to the fire. Murata fax machines.
Ollie, if you don't hurry, I'll miss my plane.
Well, I'm doing the best I can in this terrible rain.
Would a new set of Vanco wiper blades help?
Certainly. Put them on.
Change to Anco, the best-selling brand of wiper blades and refills.
There, now I can see an airplane. Airplane! Oh!
Don't worry, Ollie. It wasn't mine. That's mine.
Anco, the best blades you can buy. Test prove it.
That ship was sunk on purpose. Leviathan.
I'm going inside.
Someone has discovered its secret.
What the?
A secret so terrifying. It's growing. It must never surface.
We haven't deserted you. I promise.
Leviathan. Rated R. Starts Friday, March 17th at theaters everywhere.
We started 5 cars with one 2-year-old Die-Hard battery and 1 car at 30 below after 8 hours in a cold room. Today's Die-Hard, with power to start your car and a whole lot more.
I shorted him 1 victory. It's his 3rd ever in Busch Grand National competition. Rob Moroso, and our Winner's Circle interview is being brought to you by America's best-selling replacement battery, the Sears Die-Hard. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, Rob, congratulations. Your heart had to skip a beat when you saw that black flag coming out for Harry Gant.
Oh, yeah, you know, we got down a lap early from an untimely pit stop, and then I just fought and fought to get the lap back, and we finally did. And then at the end, I just one last run for it, and I thought I was going to have second there. And then I saw, you know, Harry'd been smoking for a while, and, you know, that's just what how NASCAR called it, you know, so I love it, you know.
Young 20-year-old driver from Madison, Connecticut, rewriting the record books in Busch Grand National competition. He wins here at Rockingham.
And the top 5 finishers in the Goodwrench 200. Moroso wins. Earnhardt finishes 2nd. Tommy Ellis 3rd. Bobby Labonte 4th. Tommy Houston finishes 5th. And Rob Moroso now is the points leader in Grand National competition. Coming up next here on ESPN, we'll have basketball coverage of the North Carolina State versus Wake Forest game. Don't forget, tomorrow at noon, we'll have the Goodwrench 500 Busch Grand National race. For Ned Jarrett, Penny Parsons, Jack Arute, and Jerry Punch, this is Bob Jenkins. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. So long, everyone.